We live in a world that constantly whispers in our ear, "You're not enough on your own." From the moment we wake up, advertisements, social media, even the people closest to us tell us that happiness is always out there, dependent on someone else's approval, validation, or permission. We're told that if we're walking alone, we must have taken a wrong turn, that if no one is cheering us on, maybe our dreams aren't worth chasing. But here's the paradox. The Stoics understood 2,000 years ago. Marcus Aurelius, Seneca, Epictetus, every ounce of real strength, every step toward true freedom is forged not in the applause of the crowd, but in the silence of solitude. The world will tell you that solitude is loneliness, that independence is arrogance, that self-reliance is cold. But the Stoic warrior knows the opposite is true. Walking alone is not weakness, it is training. Rising alone is not selfish, it is preparation. Winning alone is not isolation, it is victory of the highest order, victory over yourself. Think back on your own life for a moment. The decisions that shaped who you are today, did they come when you were surrounded by noise and approval? Or did they come in those quiet, terrifying, liberating moments when you chose courage over comfort, when you decided to take the path no one else was walking? In this journey, I'm going to share with you 7 timeless principles drawn from ancient wisdom, sharpened by modern experience, that will show you how solitude becomes sacred, how self-reliance becomes power, and how mastering yourself becomes the only victory that cannot be taken away. Stay with me, because once you understand the way of the Stoic warrior, you'll never see walking alone the same way again. Principle 1, sacred solitude. Most people are terrified of silence. The moment they're left alone, they rush for their phone, turn on the TV, scroll endlessly, or drown their mind in noise. Why? Because silence feels like a mirror, and solitude reveals the truth they've been avoiding. Yet the Stoics remind us that this mirror, though frightening, is where our deepest strength is forged. Marcus Aurelius, an emperor surrounded by generals, advisors, and armies, wrote to himself in his journal, "Very little is needed to make a happy life. It is all within yourself and your way of thinking." Imagine that the most powerful man in the world, reminding himself that real strength is not found in crowds or conquests, but in the stillness of his own mind. Solitude is not punishment, it's training ground. It's the sacred gym where the muscles of courage, clarity, and resilience are built. When you sit alone without distraction, you begin to notice the chaos of your own thoughts. At first, this can feel unbearable, like standing in front of a storm you can't escape. But stay there long enough and you'll realize that the storm passes. Behind it is something deeper, a calm, steady center that no one else can touch. Think of Seneca, exiled by the emperor, stripped of status, surrounded by enemies, yet he used that solitude not to collapse, but to write words that still guide humanity 2,000 years later. He famously said, "Every new beginning comes from some other beginning's end." His exile, his silence became fertile soil for wisdom that would outlive him. Now let's bring it closer to home. Consider the American innovators who changed the world: Henry David Thoreau, retreating to Walden Pond; Steve Jobs, wandering barefoot in solitude; Maya Angelou, writing in an empty hotel room. These weren't acts of loneliness. They were deliberate choices to step away from the noise so they could hear their own voice clearly. And think about your own life. Haven't your greatest breakthroughs, those decisions that altered your future, come not when everyone around you was cheering, but when you were alone weighing your own truth? Maybe it was the night you decided to quit a toxic job, or the moment you finally walked away from a relationship that was draining your soul, or the time you chose to chase a dream no one else believed in. Those choices weren't made in the crowd, they were born in solitude. The Stoic warrior doesn't run from these quiet moments. He seeks them out. He schedules them the way a soldier trains or an athlete builds endurance. 5 minutes in the morning with no agenda, a silent walk without headphones, a meal eaten alone without reaching for a screen. These small practices teach you to be comfortable with your own company, to know your own mind without interference. And here's the shift: solitude transforms from emptiness into possibility. When you stop filling every gap with noise, your mind starts creating. Ideas rise, courage grows. You remember who you were before the world told you who to be. The crowd fights for external territory, money, status, attention. But the Stoic warrior knows the real battle is internal, the battle for clarity, peace, and self-mastery. That battle is fought in the quiet when no one else is watching, when the only voice you hear is your own. So ask yourself, when was the last time you sat in complete silence for even 10 minutes? No music, no podcasts, no scrolling, just you and your thoughts. If that sounds unbearable, you've just discovered your next training ground. Your solitude is not your enemy, it is your teacher. Sacred solitude isn't about isolation, it's about preparation. The stronger your inner life becomes, the more generous, grounded, and free you can be with others. You stop needing validation because you've already validated yourself. You stop fearing rejection because you've already accepted yourself. You stop chasing the crowd because you've already found your path. That's why solitude is sacred, because it frees you from the exhausting game of performing, pretending, and pleasing. It roots you in something unshakable, your own character. The Stoic warrior understands this truth. If you can't stand strong in solitude, you'll crumble in the crowd. But if you can master yourself when you're alone, no crowd can ever control you again. Principle 2, opinion immunity. One of the heaviest chains we carry in life is the weight of other people's opinions. From childhood, we're conditioned to look sideways before we take a step forward. What will my parents think? What will my friends say? How will strangers on social media react? And without realizing it, we end up living a life designed not by our own values, but by the imagined judgments of others. The Stoics saw through this trap. Epictetus, once a slave, and later one of the greatest teachers of philosophy, made a simple but liberating observation. We don't suffer because of events themselves, we suffer because of our judgments about them. And most of those judgments are borrowed. When someone criticizes you, mocks your choices, or questions your path, they're not defining you. They're simply revealing themselves, their own fears, limitations, and frustrations. Think about it. The friend who laughs at your dream of starting a business, chances are they've given up on their own. The family member who constantly tells you to play it safe. They're speaking from their own regret of not taking risks. The anonymous stranger who leaves a cruel comment online. They're processing their own pain in the only way they know how. Their opinion isn't about you, it's about them. Yet most people live like prisoners in a jail built from other people's voices. They dress for approval. They choose careers to impress. They silence their own convictions so they won't make anyone uncomfortable. And the tragedy is this: even if they please 99 people, the disapproval of the 100th will still haunt them. Approval is a game you can never win because the scoreboard is controlled by everyone but you. The Stoic warrior chooses differently. They cultivate what I call opinion immunity. This isn't arrogance. It's not pretending you don't care about anyone. It's the discipline of caring more about your own integrity than the shifting judgments of the crowd. It's learning to filter feedback, accepting what is constructive, discarding what is noise. Eleanor Roosevelt, not a Stoic by name, but certainly by spirit, once said, "No one can make you feel inferior without your consent." That line alone is worth carrying in your pocket like a shield, because it reminds us the insult only lands if you open the door. The criticism only cuts if you decide to believe it. Let me give you a story. A few years ago, I was preparing to give a public lecture. A colleague warned me, "You're going to sound too intense. People will think you're extreme." For a moment, I hesitated. Should I soften my words? Should I dilute the message to keep everyone comfortable? Then I asked myself, is this colleague living the kind of life I admire? Do they embody the strength, clarity, and freedom I want for myself? The answer was no. So I delivered the lecture as I intended. Some people were uncomfortable, but many others told me afterward that it was exactly what they needed to hear. That's the power of choosing authenticity over approval. Here's a practice for you. The next time you catch yourself about to make a choice based on what someone else might think, pause. Ask yourself, if no one were watching, what would I do? If I never had to explain this decision to anyone, what choice aligns with my values? Then act on that answer. That's training your opinion immunity. Start small. Wear the clothes that reflect your style, even if others don't understand. Share an idea that matters to you, even if it's unpopular. Take up a hobby you love, even if others call it weird. Each act of authentic living strengthens your freedom muscle. And remember this, people respect you more when you have boundaries than when you bend to every expectation. They may not always like your choices, but they'll recognize your courage. Over time, your life will become proof that living authentically, even at the cost of disappointing others, is the only way to live without regret. The Stoic warrior knows this truth. The opinion that matters most is the one staring back at you in the mirror. That reflection cannot be bought with applause or destroyed by criticism. It is earned day by day through choices that honor your own values. So build your immunity, not by hardening your heart, but by anchoring it. Let the noise of others wash over you like waves against stone. Stand firm knowing that your worth has never been up for debate. Principle 3, the power of self-reliance. In our culture, independence is often confused with isolation, and self-reliance is mistaken for selfishness. But the Stoics understood something deeper. True self-reliance isn't about rejecting others, it's about becoming strong enough to stand on your own, so that when you do give to others, it comes from a place of abundance, not desperation. Think about Emerson, the American philosopher, heavily influenced by Stoicism. He once wrote, "Nothing can bring you peace but the triumph of principles." Self-reliance is exactly that, the victory of living in alignment with your principles, rather than leaning on others to define your worth, rescue you from your problems, or dictate your path. Here's the truth: you cannot give what you do not have. If you are constantly dependent on someone else for your happiness, your stability, or even your basic needs, you are handing them the keys to your life. It's like sitting in the passenger seat of your own existence, hoping the driver knows where you actually want to go. The Stoic warrior refuses to live this way. Consider the simple but powerful lesson from airline safety instructions: put on your own oxygen mask before assisting others. At first, this sounds selfish, but it's wisdom. If you pass out while trying to help, now 2 people are in danger instead of 1. Life works the same way. If you don't learn to stabilize yourself emotionally, mentally, and practically, your attempts to help others will be limited or worse, harmful. Self-reliance begins with emotional sovereignty. This doesn't mean you never ask for help. It means you learn to process your own feelings, solve your own problems, and maintain your peace of mind without constantly leaning on others to rescue you. It's the difference between saying, "I can't survive unless someone saves me," and saying, "I'll handle this as best I can, and if others want to walk beside me, that's a blessing, not a requirement." Let me tell you a story. A young man I once mentored was devastated after his girlfriend broke up with him. For weeks, he called every friend he had, seeking reassurance. Am I still worthy? Will I ever find someone else? His friends grew exhausted. I sat him down and asked, "Do you realize you're outsourcing your peace of mind to other people? The moment their comfort runs out, you collapse again. What if you learn to stand with yourself first?" Slowly, he began journaling, exercising, and sitting quietly with his emotions instead of running from them. Within months, his confidence returned, not because others fed it to him, but because he built it himself. That's emotional sovereignty. Self-reliance also means practical competence. Can you cook a simple meal for yourself? Manage your finances. Fix small problems around the house. These may sound trivial, but every skill you develop becomes one less area where life can knock you down. The more capable you are in the basics, the more energy you free up for your higher purpose. And then there's spiritual self-reliance, the most profound level of all. Too often, people outsource their entire sense of meaning to others, to a teacher, a partner, or a community. But the Stoic warrior knows that your relationship with truth and purpose must be your own. Read the ancient texts yourself. Sit with life's big questions. Develop a personal philosophy that guides you when no one else is around. Here's the paradox: the more self-reliant you become, the stronger your relationships grow. Why? Because you no longer approach people with neediness. You don't expect them to fill your voids. Instead, you come to them as a whole person, ready to share, not to cling. This creates bonds rooted in respect, not dependency, in love, not desperation. So how do you practice self-reliance? Start by identifying one area where you lean too heavily on others. Maybe it's decision-making. Maybe it's constant emotional reassurance. Maybe it's financial support. Take one small step toward independence in that area this week. It might be as simple as cooking your own dinner, making your own budget, or spending an evening handling your emotions without reaching for someone else to soothe you. The Stoic warrior accepts complete responsibility for their life. They don't blame circumstances, other people, or bad luck for their unhappiness. They don't wait for someone to save them. They recognize that no one is coming, and in that recognition, they find tremendous power. Self-reliance is not about cutting yourself off from others. It's about standing so firmly on your own 2 feet that when you extend a hand to another, it is steady, not trembling. It's about becoming the kind of person who can walk alone, rise alone, and win alone. yet choose connection freely, not out of fear or dependence. The Stoic warrior knows self-reliance is not selfishness. It is the foundation of freedom. Principle 4. Learning from failure. If there is one truth that separates the Stoic warrior from the ordinary crowd, it is this: failure is not the opposite of success, it is the raw material of it. Most people treat failure like a scarlet letter, something to hide, deny, or excuse. But the Stoics saw it as a private university, a place where the lessons are costly but priceless. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "The impediment to action advances action. What stands in the way becomes the way." In other words, the obstacle is not the end of the path, it is the curriculum of the path. Every failure is a teacher if only you have the courage to sit in the classroom. But here's the part most motivational speeches leave out. This education happens in solitude. When you fail, people will offer sympathy, advice, or criticism. But the real work, the hard excavation of what went wrong, can only be done when you're alone, stripping away excuses and facing the truth head-on. Think of Thomas Edison. After thousands of failed attempts at creating a working light bulb, he didn't say, "I failed 1,000 times." He said, "I found 1,000 ways that didn't work." He turned failure into data, into progress. That mindset is not just optimism, it is discipline. And it is discipline that the Stoic warrior adopts. Let me share a story. A friend of mine launched a small business a few years back. He poured his savings, his time, and his heart into it, only to watch it collapse within a year. He was humiliated. He avoided family gatherings. He wouldn't answer calls from friends. For months, he carried the failure like a coffin on his back. Finally, I asked him, "What if this business wasn't your grave, but your teacher? What if the failure is not telling you that you're not capable, but showing you where you need to grow?" He sat with that thought. Slowly, he reviewed every step, his assumptions, his planning, his blind spots. He realized he'd been too dependent on a single customer, ignored basic marketing, and underestimated his own resilience. 2 years later, he launched another business, this time with more caution, more strategy, more grit. That second venture succeeded. Why? Because the first one, painful as it was, taught him the lessons no textbook could. That's the Stoic way, creating what I call a failure audit. After every significant setback, you spend time alone with 3 questions. What did I control that I could have done differently? What was outside my control that I must accept? What lesson can I carry forward that will make me stronger next time? This is not self-punishment, it's self-education. The world is full of people who avoid this kind of honest reflection. They run from discomfort, distract themselves with entertainment, or point fingers at everyone else. But that only guarantees one thing: they will repeat the same mistakes again and again. The Stoic warrior chooses the harder path, the path of sitting alone with failure until its lessons are extracted. Here's the paradox: the more willing you are to fail privately, the less likely you are to fail catastrophically. Because you've already faced your weaknesses, acknowledged them, and adjusted. Like steel forged in fire, you emerge stronger, not in spite of the failure, but because of it. You can start this practice today. The next time something goes wrong, whether small, like losing your temper, or big, like missing out on a promotion, resist the urge to drown it in distraction. Instead, set aside 30 minutes. Write down exactly what happened. Be brutally honest. Ask yourself, what assumptions prove false? What patterns do I notice? What strength did I develop by enduring this? Remember this: every expert in any field is simply someone who has made more mistakes than beginners, but learned from each one. The athlete who wins medals is also the one who has failed in training 1,000 times. The writer who produces masterpieces is the one who has thrown away more drafts than you can count. The philosopher who speaks wisdom is the one who has wrestled privately with failure until it gave up its treasure. Failure is not evidence that you're unworthy of success. It is proof that you're in the arena. And every time you walk away with a lesson, you've already turned defeat into progress. So the Stoic warrior carries this affirmation: every failure is my private lesson in becoming unstoppable. Principle 5. Building your inner fortress. Life will always test you. People will insult you. Plans will collapse. Money will be lost. Friends will betray you. Health will falter. The question isn't whether storms will come, it's whether you'll have built something strong enough inside to withstand them. The Stoics call this inner strength the citadel, a fortress of the mind that no one can penetrate unless you hand them the keys. Epictetus, once a slave and later a teacher of emperors, understood this better than anyone. He said, "No one can harm you without your permission." Those words are profound. The world can bruise your body, but it cannot touch your inner peace, your values, your character, unless you surrender them. Most people, though, live without any fortress at all. They are completely exposed to every shift in weather, every passing opinion, every minor inconvenience. Someone criticizes their work and their whole day is ruined. Plans change and they spiral into despair. A friend succeeds and they feel diminished. It's as if they've given strangers, events, and circumstances free access to their inner world. The Stoic warrior builds differently. They construct their fortress layer by layer. The outer wall is perspective. When someone insults you, perspective reminds you their words reveal their character, not yours. When you face a setback, perspective whispers, "This too shall pass." When you encounter suffering, perspective shows you, you are not the first and you will not be the last. Humans have endured far worse and still found meaning. The second layer is principles. A clear set of values that guide your choices regardless of outside pressure. Not rigid rules imposed by society, but deeply considered beliefs about what makes life worth living. When you know what you stand for, no one can knock you over. At the heart of the fortress, the inner keep, is what I call unshakable identity. This is the realization that you are not your job, not your possessions, not even your passing thoughts and emotions. You are the observer, the consciousness behind it all. When you identify with that deeper self, external chaos cannot destroy you because you exist beyond it. Let me give you a story. During the financial crisis of 2008, I watched a colleague lose nearly everything: his business, his house, even close relationships. At first, I expected him to crumble, but he surprised me. He said, "I've lost my assets, yes, but I haven't lost my discipline, my integrity, or my ability to rebuild." He treated his principles like an inner fortress, and within a few years he rose again, wiser, calmer, more resilient. His fortress hadn't prevented the storm, but it had kept him from drowning in it. Building your own fortress requires daily work. Each time you pause, instead of reacting in anger, you strengthen the walls. Each time you act according to your values rather than outside pressure, you deepen the foundation. Each time you find peace in chaos, you expand the sanctuary inside. But remember, a fortress isn't a prison. It's not about cutting yourself off from the world. A true fortress has windows, openings, through which you can connect, serve, and love others, but on your terms, not theirs. The Stoic warrior is not cold or disconnected. They are sovereign. They engage with life fully while remaining anchored in their autonomy. Here's the beauty: the stronger your fortress becomes, the more generous you can be. When you're not constantly defending your inner territory, you have energy to help others build theirs. When you're not threatened by others' success, you can genuinely celebrate it. When you're not dependent on approval, you can offer honest feedback that actually helps. Start today. Identify one area where you're too exposed. Maybe your mood depends entirely on what people say about you. Maybe your self-worth rises and falls with your achievements. Maybe every small inconvenience sends you into frustration. Pick one and practice holding your peace regardless of what happens outside. That's laying a new brick in your fortress wall. Storms will come for everyone. The Stoic warrior doesn't waste energy wishing for calm skies. Instead, they prepare so that when the winds howl and the rain lashes down, they can stand tall within walls no storm can touch. That is the inner fortress. And once you build it, no one, no critic, no failure, no betrayal can ever take it from you. Principle 6, the courage to disappoint others. One of the hardest lessons in life is this: if you try to please everyone, you will betray yourself. And in the end, you'll end up pleasing no one, not even the people you were trying to protect. The Stoic warrior knows that authenticity comes at a price, and that price is the willingness to disappoint others. Aristotle once said, "To avoid criticism, say nothing, do nothing, be nothing." Most people choose exactly that path. They say yes when they want to say no. They pursue careers they don't care about to satisfy their parents. They stay in draining relationships because they fear judgment. They sacrifice their own vision so that no one else feels uncomfortable. But the result is a quiet life of resentment and regret. The Stoic warrior takes another path. They accept that living authentically means some people will be disappointed: friends, family, colleagues. They don't relish hurting others, but they know that betraying themselves is a greater cruelty. Because when you abandon your own values to appease others, you teach the world that you're willing to be shaped by anyone's expectations. And eventually you don't even recognize yourself in the mirror. Think of the young man pressured by his parents to become a lawyer when what he truly wanted was to teach. If he chooses law, he may avoid disappointing them in the short term, but he'll wake up in middle age, bitter drained, and quietly blaming his parents for a life unlived. On the other hand, if he chooses teaching, his parents may feel disappointed at first, but in time they may come to respect his courage. And even if they don't, he will have chosen a path that honors himself. The Stoic warrior would rather face the sting of temporary disappointment than the slow death of self-betrayal. I remember a moment in my own life when I had to make such a choice. A friend asked me to join a business venture that I knew wasn't aligned with my values. Saying no risked the friendship. Saying yes would have compromised my integrity. I chose no. The friendship didn't survive, but my peace of mind did. And in hindsight, I realized the friendship was conditional anyway. It existed only as long as I complied. That's the kind of bond the Stoic warrior is willing to let go. Here's the paradox: people respect you more when you have boundaries than when you bend to everything. They may not always agree with you, but they trust you because they know where you stand. A person with no boundaries is easy to like, but impossible to respect. Of course, disappointing others must be done with wisdom. The Stoic warrior doesn't wield truth like a hammer. They distinguish between disrespecting a person and declining their expectations. They communicate clearly and kindly. They acknowledge others' feelings without abandoning their own position. This is what I call strategic disappointment, choosing the moments where holding the line matters most while letting go of smaller battles. Consider daily life. Saying no to a social invitation when you need solitude. Refusing to join in gossip even when it would make you popular. Maintaining high standards even when others roll their eyes and call you too strict. Each act of courage might disappoint someone in the moment, but it builds a life aligned with your own compass. And here's the deeper truth. People who truly love you want the authentic you, even if that means occasional disappointment. They would rather disagree with the real you than adore a fake version crafted to keep them comfortable. Start small. The next time you're asked to do something that doesn't align with your values or priorities, practice saying no kindly but firmly. Notice how the world doesn't collapse. In fact, you may discover that your relationships become more honest and meaningful because people finally know where you stand. The Stoic warrior carries this courage like a shield, better to disappoint someone else than to abandon yourself. Because a life lived for others' approval may avoid conflict, but it guarantees one thing: you will end up disappointing the most important person of all, yourself. Principle 7. Victory through self-mastery. The final and greatest victory the Stoic warrior seeks is not over enemies, rivals, or even obstacles. It is over the self. The world teaches us to measure success by titles, trophies, and applause. But the Stoics remind us that the ultimate conquest is mastering your own mind, emotions, and impulses. Because if you cannot govern yourself, then no amount of external achievement will bring peace. Lao Tzu, the ancient Chinese philosopher, said it perfectly. He who conquers others is strong. He who conquers himself is mighty. The Stoic warrior doesn't chase strength that depends on domination. They pursue mightiness that comes from discipline, the quiet daily choice to rule their inner world. Think about it. Anyone can lash out when they're angry. Anyone can crumble when they're afraid. Anyone can give in to temptation when no one is watching. But the one who pauses, who chooses patience over rage, clarity over panic, discipline over indulgence, that is the one who has achieved a victory no enemy can take away. Consider everyday life. Someone cuts you off in traffic. Do you react with rage or do you choose calm? A coworker criticizes you. Do you defend yourself blindly or do you pause, consider, and respond with wisdom? You're tempted to procrastinate? Do you surrender to distraction or do you act in alignment with your long-term goals? These moments may seem small, but they are the battlefield of self-mastery. Marcus Aurelius reminded himself daily that you have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this and you will find strength. This is the essence of Stoic victory, not controlling the world, but controlling the one thing truly within your command, your own mind. Let me share a personal story. Years ago, I was preparing for an important talk. Everything seemed to go wrong the day before: technical issues, travel delays, even harsh criticism from a colleague. The old me would have spiraled into stress and self-doubt. But I remembered the Stoic teaching: circumstances don't control me, my response does. I took a breath, journaled my thoughts, and chose calm action. The next day I delivered one of my best talks. The difference wasn't luck, it was self-mastery. This victory is not about suppression. It's not about becoming a robot without feelings. It's about directing your emotions rather than being directed by them. Anger can become fuel for justice. Fear can sharpen awareness. Desire can become motivation. But only when you stand in command rather than letting those forces drag you around like a puppet. Self-mastery also means learning the art of detachment. Not detachment from life, but from clinging. You can want success without being enslaved by the need for it. You can love deeply without trying to control or possess. You can work hard without being destroyed if the results don't come immediately. This balance is freedom, the freedom to engage with life fully, yet remain rooted in peace. The Stoic warrior knows that external victories are hollow if they come with internal defeat. A man may conquer nations, but if he's ruled by anger and greed, he is still a slave. A woman may achieve fame and wealth, but if she's controlled by fear and insecurity, she has gained the world but lost herself. True victory is quieter, but infinitely more powerful, the steady calm of someone who owns their own mind. So how do you practice self-mastery? Start small. Notice one pattern of automatic reaction in your life. Maybe it's snapping in irritation, reaching for junk food, or drowning in social media. Pause. Insert choice. Each time you choose differently, you strengthen what the Stoics called the ruling faculty, the power of conscious decision. Over time, these small victories compound into unshakable strength. This is the culmination of the Stoic warrior's path. Solitude teaches you who you are. Opinion immunity frees you to act authentically. Self-reliance gives you strength. Failure gives you wisdom. The inner fortress gives you stability. The courage to disappoint others gives you integrity. And self-mastery ties it all together, transforming you into someone who walks alone, rises alone, and wins alone, not because you reject others, but because your victory is rooted so deeply inside that no one can take it away. That is the final conquest, the quiet, unshakable power of self-mastery. Conclusion: walking the path of the Stoic warrior. We've walked through the 7 principles that define the Stoic warrior: embracing solitude, freeing yourself from the weight of opinions, building self-reliance, learning from failure, constructing an inner fortress, finding the courage to disappoint others, and ultimately achieving the quiet victory of self-mastery. Together, these are not just abstract ideas, they are a way of living. They remind us that strength doesn't come from applause, but from character. That freedom doesn't come from controlling others, but from mastering ourselves. That true victory doesn't happen in the spotlight. It happens in those unseen moments when you choose courage over comfort, truth over approval, discipline over impulse. The world today will tell you that walking alone is dangerous, that solitude is failure, that authenticity will cost you too much. But the Stoic warrior knows better. Walking alone doesn't mean being lonely, it means being free. Rising alone doesn't mean being selfish, it means being strong enough to serve others without needing to cling to them. Winning alone doesn't mean you don't care about people. It means your victory is rooted so deeply inside that no external storm can take it away. So I want to leave you with this challenge the next time you face a decision. Ask yourself not what will make others happy, not what will win approval, but what choice aligns with your values. What decision honors the fortress you are building inside yourself? Then choose that path even if it means walking alone. And remember, every time you act with integrity, you are not just shaping your own life, you are quietly shaping the world. Because the world desperately needs more people who have done the inner work. People who can stand in their truth without needing permission. People who can love without attachment, serve without expectation, and lead without ego. The world needs more Stoic warriors. If this message resonates with you, don't just keep it to yourself. Share it with someone who needs to hear it. Drop a comment below with your favorite principle. We learn best when we learn together. And if you want more ancient wisdom to sharpen your modern life, make sure you subscribe to Stoic Focus and turn on notifications. This is more than a channel, it's a community of people committed to living with strength, clarity, and purpose. So say it with me: I walk alone. I rise alone. I win alone. Not because I reject others, but because I have found the strength within myself. That is the way of the Stoic warrior. Your journey starts now.